We're going to make the rims and a simple tire model. So let's do 3 for side view, and we're going to use this front reference image as a guide. We're not actually going to make this exact rim, we're going to make one that's in a picture that I'm going to link in the description. So we're going to just left click here approximately in the center, and then we're going to go to create, we're going to choose circle, we're going to change the vertex count to 10 and then press enter. We're going to tab into edit mode, do R, Y, then 90 and press enter, then just S to scale this down. When I made my rim the first time, I made it slightly bigger than this rim actually, so I'm just going to scale mine out to be a bit bigger than the rim itself. And if you need to, you can adjust the Z value or the Y value if you don't think it's centered. So you just want to look all the way around and try to make sure that there's equal spacing the entire way around, and if there's not, just kind of adjust it a bit until it looks a little bit better. So then we're just going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and S to scale this down slightly. Then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and we're going to bring it back a little bit. So I'm going to do A twice and just bring this out on the x-axis so that we can see this a little better and position it a little closer to where it should be. So we're going to do alt right click here and then just bring this back slightly. I'm going to bring mine back a little bit more, then I'm going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, S to scale this down a bit, scale it down a little more, and then I'm going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and bring this back. Then I'm going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and S to scale this down. Then finally we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and bring this back. So this will be the basic shape of our rim. Next we want to start creating these spokes. So what we're going to do is just do Shift S and cursor to selected. That'll center the cursor around these objects. We're going to do create, we'll just do circle, change the vertex count to 6 and press enter, do R, Y, 90 and press enter, S to scale it down. So we're going to need to rotate this, so if we go to side view by pressing 3, we're going to need to rotate this so that the point is at the top, because the way these spokes are created is they have a point at the top and then they kind of go like this in a diamond shape. So we need to just rotate this a little bit. So we're actually going to need to rotate it 30 degrees. So we're going to do R and then 30 and press enter. And to get that value we just did 360 degrees divided by how many vertices we have, which is 6. And then we divide that number by 2 to get half of a rotation so that we can have this point right here. So the final answer is 30 degrees. Now we just need to make this more of a diamond shape, so we're going to do S and then Y and kind of scale it in like this. You can also just scale it in general to scale it down a bit so that it's a little bit smaller. So I want this top point to be lined up with these points here, and then I want this to be lined up on the x-axis with these points right here. So what we're going to do is just grab it on the z-axis, hold control, snap it there. And if that doesn't snap the correct point because we want to snap this top point, we're going to switch to vertex select, then hold shift, right click to deselect this point, then hold shift still, right click to select it again. And now you'll see this point is in white, so it's now the active point. So if we change this from closest to active, so we're changing the snap target from the closest point to the active point, and this is the active point. So now when we grab it on the z-axis, hold control and snap it, it's actually going to snap this top point like we want it to be the same z value as this point. So now that we've done that, we want to do the same on the x-axis. We want it to be the same as this point. So we're going to grab it on the x-axis, hold control and snap it there. Another thing you want to be sure of is kind of just have it, if the point is already lined up right here, you want to have this bottom point just sticking in a little bit further than this circle. So if yours isn't the correct size, just scale it now. You can do just S to scale, or you can do S and Y to make it a little skinnier if you want, or a little fatter. But then just make sure you reposition it on the z-axis so that the top point is in line with these points here. Now to make this into quads, we're just going to press F to make a face, and we're going to select these 2 vertices and then just do J to join them. So I'm going to go ahead and change this back from active to closest. And we want to start adding some curvature to this, so we want it to be more like this, where it has some outward curvature. So to do that, we're going to add in a couple edge loops. We'll start with the center edge loop, bring this one out, and then we'll add in the top and bottom edge loops and bring those out slightly as well. So we're just going to do Control R, then left click, right click, and we're going to select this center vertex, and we're just going to bring it out a bit on the x-axis. Then we're going to do Control R, left click, and we want to move this up a specific amount. So we're actually going to do 0.5. So we're going to type in 0.5 and then we'll press enter. Then we're going to do the same on the bottom, do Control R. And this time we want to do -0.5. So we're going to do -0.5 and press enter. That just makes sure that these two on the top and bottom are exactly the same distance away from the center point. So then we're just going to select these 2 points, this one in the center and then this one in the center, and bring it out slightly just to give this some more shape to it. We want to make sure we have 8 of these because there's 8 spokes on the rim. So to do that, we're just going to do Alt right click and then Shift S, cursor to selected. That just makes sure the cursor is centered around our object. And we want to be rotating around our cursor, so we're going to change this pivot point from median point to the 3D cursor. So now we're rotating around the 3D cursor. And now we just want to select this piece, so we're going to select one of these vertices, do Control L, and we're going to do 3 to go into side view. So since we want 8 of these, we want to do 360 degrees divided by 8, which is 45 degrees for each one of them. So we're going to duplicate this and then rotate it 45 degrees and then just repeat that process until we have all 8. So we're going to do Shift D, then R, 45, and press enter. And if you want to repeat that, you can just do Shift R and just continue doing Shift R until you have all 8 of your spokes. Then we're just going to start connecting these over. So I'm going to select these 4 and we're going to press F. We just want to fill in the space between each one of these spokes. So we're going to do the same here. Select these 4, press F, and then just repeat the process throughout this entire model. Once that's done, we want to add a bit of a curve to this area right here, and to do that we're just going to do Control R and then left click, right click, and then we'll have a vertex to use to actually pull it in this direction. But we're going to have to do the same thing for each one of these, so we're just going to do Control R, left click, right click, and then just repeat that all the way around. Once that's done, we're going to switch this from 3D cursor to median point. We're going to hold Alt and then Shift, and then just right click and select all these edge loops right here. Then we're just going to scale this in by pressing S and scaling it in slightly. Once that's done, to fill in the center, we're just going to Alt right click here, do E to extrude, right click to cancel, Alt M, and choose at center to merge them all at the center. Next, we just want to get all these exterior vertices so we can extrude them and give this some depth. So we're going to select one of these vertices, then just hold Control and right click to select the next vertex and just continue that all the way around. So just continue holding Control and right clicking until you have all the vertices. This last one you can just hold Control and right click on this vertex and that will select all of them. Then we're just going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, and we're going to bring this back on the X-axis. Once that's done, we can do A twice and Control N to make sure that the normals are correct. And also tab into object mode, go to tools, and turn on smooth shading. To help make this look a little bit better, we're going to add in a bevel modifier. So go to add modifier and choose bevel. We're going to change it from none to weight, and we're going to tab into edit mode, go to edge select, and we're just going to start alt right clicking the edges that we want to have a bevel. So we're going to alt right click here, alt and shift right click, and then just continue that all the way down. Then we'll do Control E and do edge bevel weight. Go until it says 1 at the bottom left, and then just left click. That's it for this outer piece, so we're just going to do Control L and then H to hide it so we can work with this inner piece. Now we're just going to go around selecting the edges that we want on this inner piece. So I'm just going to Alt right click, and then I'm going to hold Shift and just select these two on the side. So you want this upside down V shape and then the two on the side, and we want the same at the bottom of the diamond. So you're basically getting the top of the diamond, and we're also going to get the bottom. So we're going to hold Alt and Shift and then just right click and then do the same here, Alt and Shift, right click. So now we have the bottom of the diamond and we also have the top. So I'm going to quickly go around and select the rest of them exactly in the same way, where you have the top and then the side and then the bottom and the side for each one of these. Once you have all of them selected, you're going to do Control E, edge bevel weight, and then just go until it says 1 and left click. The next step is to add a bevel to these edges right here. So we're just going to select this edge, hold Control, and then select this edge, and that'll get all of them. So now we're going to hold Shift, right click to select this, then hold Control, right click to select all these. Do the same here, hold Shift, then hold Control, make sure you're right clicking to select, and just continue doing that all the way around. Just hold Shift, right click, hold Control, right click, and repeat that process all the way around. Once that's done, you're going to do Control E, you're going to do edge bevel weight, go until it says 1, and then just left click. Let's save this by going to File and Save, and then we'll continue this in the next video. Thank you to our awesome Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter yourself, head on over to patreon.com/StephenBrooks. Thank you for your support.